everybody, welcome back to RGR Football Channel on YouTube. My name is Daniel Harms. For those of you that are new, go ahead and hit that like, the bell, and the sub, and the bell notification. That's for you guys just to make sure we're going to be pumping about a lot of draft content starting right now with this brand new theme video for me. I've never done a mock video, but this is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to give us an opportunity to really talk about draft prospects, get a feel for the how some things look on different platforms, and for me, we're going to start learning some things about players that I don't even know about. So that day 3 is going to be kind of a special one for me. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work out. So one thing I want you guys to do is after you're done watching this video, whatever pick you don't like, whatever pick you like, just give me feedback with everything you guys feel, whether you like the pick, you just hated the pick, or you really think that there's a different value that you saw on the board while I was doing it. So go ahead, be doing that. The whole process, we're going to learn together. We're going to have fun, and hopefully we get some of these live so we can get your opinions on it as we go. That'll be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and get started. I love doing mock drafts personally. I think it's probably one of my favorite things to do outside of actually watch film on college prospects. We're going to do a little bit slower so that we can see picks as they go off the board. And we're not going to do any trades for this one as it stands right now. Once we get started and get going a little bit, we'll mess around with trading some picks here or there and see how we can fill out this draft for the Chiefs. I like the idea of trading down, as does Ryan. So we'll always keep that in the back of our minds. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So far, Jamar Chase at number 2 is a bit of a surprise. I assume that's if they get Deshaun Watson. So Devontae Smith, Zach Wilson, quarterback. Oh, always got to decline these trade offers. Just got to keep it simple right now. We're just going to take it as it goes. Not a whole lot of surprises so far. Micah Parsons going that high is a little bit of a shock to me, to be honest with you. After his recent season, it wasn't the best. And I think he opted out, excuse me. So we are looking at some of the players coming up now. Nick Bolton, Jalen Mayfield, to tackle a prospect that I like out of Michigan, a lot of upside. More of a raw type of player, but now we're on the board. So let's go ahead and see who we got available. Oh, there's some really good names right here. Now, do I want to give the Chiefs a starting tackle, or do I want to take Elijah Vera Tucker? Elijah Vera Tucker is probably the best interior line position player in this draft. That's an interesting prospect for me. The question for me is, can he play center? And I'm not 100% sold that he can play center. I know that there are some draft prospects at center that I can get, in the second round. So let's look at Teven Jenkins. I haven't looked specifically at Jenkins yet, but the fact that he can play right guard, left tackle, and right tackle is a very, very good sign for me, because I know that Liam Eigenberg out of Notre Dame is a plug and play starting left tackle. So Jenkins is a guy that I've seen quite a bit about. I think he spent this last year playing right tackle. So there's options for him to play left and play right. If they don't get Mitch and then they want to convert Niang to left tackle, I don't see that being an option. I think that you can get Jenkins here, who's got a lot of upside and really a swing tackle prospect. You take him, and I think that this is a good idea here, because I'm going to personally look for a center later in this draft. I think that the Chiefs bring LDT back. He plays next year. They have Allegretti as their starting left guard. Probably if Osemele's coming back, if he's okay to go, they might do that too at the interior. So I'm going to take Teven Jenkins out of Oklahoma State and give the Chiefs a tackle opportunity, assuming that Eric Fisher also, along with Mitch Schwartz, doesn't play. So I think that's a pretty good idea there. I know that I've talked about taking Kadarius Toney right there. I know he was available. I think that the Chiefs need an offensive line, specifically tackle and center. It is just too much to pass on guys at the top of this draft for a wide receiver. I think you can get some very good wide receivers later in this draft. I see a lot of interest in people trying to have me trade up. What's going on here? I know that the Chiefs might take some chances to trade up in this draft, but right now let's go ahead and just keep chugging along with what we got. All right. Wide receivers, wide receivers. Let's take a look a little bit at the interior. Who we got? Josh Myers is a guy that I reviewed over at Arrowhead Guys. I believe he is a plug and play center. It's a little disappointing. He's that some of the they're right there. They are Landon Dickerson right there was the guy I was hoping would fall to 63. Deontay Brown is played left tackle last year, so they projected the TDN projects him to be an interior player. That's a little interesting, but I think this is a spot that I can get a good wide receiver because I see some guys down here in Ben Cleveland, Trey Hill that are possibles. You know what? I'm not going to second guess myself. I believe that the Chiefs should go 1-2 offensive line at least right now, and I know that Josh Myers is a plug and play center. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Josh Myers because right now the Chiefs need offensive line. They need center talent immediately. He's a plug and play center. He fits well in the Chiefs offensive line scheme. Very good zone player. I think it's a good pick. He's not overly athletic, but he can do enough to get you by. And he's a very good, solid, already starting center in the NFL, in my opinion, that he will be when he's drafted. So I like the pick, and I'm not gonna second guess myself. I do believe they need offensive line as soon as humanly possible. All right. So there's some good names on the board here still. Personally, I think right now round 3 is my target for a wide receiver. That's what I'm looking for. And I think that there's some really interesting options still on the board. Amari Rogers is I think everything people wanted Hardman to be. He's quite a bit shorter than I had expected. He is more of a slot receiver in the NFL, projecting to be a slot receiver. I don't think he's going to play at all on the outside. So I'm going to say no on Amari Rogers. But there's a guy here at wide receiver who was 100% of my guy. I think that he fits perfectly into the Chiefs system. He's a bit bigger. He can play in the slot. He can play on the outside. He's a dynamic route runner, a dynamic playmaker. And you can inject him into this offense, and I think that he immediately becomes one of the most talented players on the offense. That's saying a lot because I don't you don't usually get that type of player in the third round, but Diami Brown out of North Carolina is a legitimate playmaker. He's physical through the catch, after the catch, in during the catch, all of that. He's also a good route runner. He can create separation on his own. He's fast. This is the perfect blend of speed, athleticism, and wide receiver ability for the Chiefs offense. And I'm not going to pass him up. I'm going to take him right now. I love Diami Brown. In the third round, I think that's great value in my opinion. He's a perfect fit for this offense. So I have no qualms about taking him there. And I know that we've gone offense on 1, 2, 3 here, but protecting Mahomes is one of the top things you have to do. So taking offensive line as it comes, you got to do it. Let's go ahead and switch over to the edge position here. At least look at all of the prospects we've got. There's actually still quite a bit of edges on the board, as we can see right here falling in front of us. The top, according to TDN, their top rated players are all edge players right now. So that's an interesting prospect for me. There's one guy that I would really like to add to this defense. He's a perfect scheme fit, and I think that if you can put him plug and play, or excuse me, plug and go with him, that they should 100% do it here in the fourth round. And he's sitting there at the very top of the board. That's a pretty lucky bounce right there. I'm not even gonna chance his name right now. I have not practiced it enough to say it with any type of confidence on this video, but he's long, he's big, he's a big athletic guy, strength and fits into exactly the type of mold this Spagnuolo wants. Also, he really flashed a lot of potential at the Senior Bowl. This is a guy that I really like in this Chiefs defense, and he's got a lot of upside both as a run stopper and a pass rusher. So I'm going to go ahead and take him now. That length is just something that you don't find a lot that fits the specific style that Spags want. And I think that the way that they're trying to get these defensive ends going, I'm not so sure that Okafor comes back. I think they let him go. I also think they might let K-Pass walk. I'm not I might cut him. I'm not sure that he's anything more than what we've seen. And what we've seen is that he can't rush the passer. So it's just what it is. You need some more upside there. And they might bring back Taco Charlton. I think that's a good idea personally, but we'll have to see. And I think that one of the places you can get some of that talent is here in the draft. They got some good mid-round picks, and we just took one of them. So I'm all about that pick. Now, this is where we get into some of the territory where I'm not so confident in where we're going. But I do plan on taking another wide receiver at some point. I will tell you that. I think that the Chiefs are going to lose both Demarcus Robinson and Sammy Watkins. You're going to have to continue to bring in some talent. And I think that the draft is one of those ways you do that. As much as they like bringing guys like Marcus Kemp, Derek Dieter from the practice squad, neither of them are cracking the roster next year, in my opinion. And they shouldn't. They have some guys that are playmakers on the practice squad already that were draft picks or on UDFAs last year. So let's look a little bit at some of the defensive positions. I think Stan Sorensen, Armani Watts are both possible cuts at this point. We talked about Sorensen on the Monday night Q&A. He's not, in my opinion, ready to, or he's not going to be a part of the team's future. You get a big guy. I think that they're probably looking for a third safety to do that. I know that Reed Blankenship is kind of a really type of what Sorensen was, but if we're being honest, you need something a little bit different to fit that role that can still do that. And I think that a bigger safety in out of Virginia Tech here, 6'3", 226 is an option. I think that that's something you can do. So we're gonna take a shot here on shot in the dark and take the safety out of Virginia Tech that I can't pronounce right now. So just like I said, if you guys find that you either don't know anything about said prospect, you don't like that pick, just go ahead and put it in the comments. I got no problems. This is a whole learning process for me too. I'm not as deep into this and as I know some of the other people are, but we're just having fun here. This is a fun opportunity to really get to know, get an idea of where some of these players are going to be. So let's keep on keeping on. So we've got some interesting wide receiver prospects. Personally, I think that Cornell Powell is someone who really kind of strikes me as interesting. He was nowhere on the Clemson team up until like the last 5 or 6 games of the season, and he's a senior. Like he wasn't getting snaps, and the snaps he was getting, he wasn't producing with them. So, but he's a very talented wide receiver. He was doing some crazy things at the end of the season with jump balls, going to get it, some body control, route running, things that he did at the Senior Bowl were very impressive. So this is an interesting spot for me that I'm going to take Cornell Powell out of Clemson, the guy who I think has a lot of upside and can help with a possession type receiver on the Chiefs offense. What do we got here? So right now, you might want to look more at the interior defensive line. Excuse me. Chris Tonga, bigger guy, about 320, maybe not so much of a pass rusher, but let's look and see what they say about him a little bit here. Obviously, take this with a grain of salt. Um, that's not always what it's going to what it's going to come down to. So this looks to be a guy who does not fit exactly what the Chiefs want to do, what they need. They need guys like Tershawn Wharton and Chris Jones to be able to rush the passer when they don't have, that pass rush element outside of anybody else. But you also need to be able to stop the run a little bit. They're going to probably lose Pennell into free agency. So maybe they go that direction and they try to develop Saunders into a pass rusher, and then they try to take a defensive tackle that can be a run stuffer. Some of these bigger guys that are 6'4", Bobby Brown here at 315. Chris Tonga at BYU is a bit bigger, but it's possible that Bobby Brown offers a little bit more pass rush upside. So we're gonna go ahead and take him, a big guy that can still control gaps and get after the quarterback, maybe a little bit more upside there with his lighter frame or lighter build. So as this winds down, I think that the Chiefs are in a pretty good position as long as they get some offensive line help early in the draft. I think that that's ideal, and you can't have what happened in the Super Bowl happen to Patrick Mahomes at all. And I think that Andy Reid might be comfortable with what's going on up there, but I'm not. So let's go ahead and finish this draft off here with a tight end. How about, let's look at tight end. What we got? I know that I've seen a little bit about Luke Farrell out of Ohio State. Let's look at Sean Byer. We only got, I'm not so surprised, but the Iowa tight ends typically project well to the NFL. Maybe not so much of the ones that you don't know about, but Luke Farrell's a big guy who's athletic. I know, and he can block. That's one of the things that the Chiefs tight ends outside of Travis Kelce can't do. They can't block. I'm taking Luke Farrell out of Ohio State. I think he's got some upside as a pass catcher as well. So that was the Chiefs' last pick in this mock draft. So let's go ahead and just watch it wind out and see all the names that we don't know anything about as they go off the board. Again, I really want to stress to you guys, feel free to criticize what you don't like. I'm more than happy to go through this multiple times. We all are going to learn as it goes, and we're going to evaluate everything as they come around. So this is an opportunity for, one, you guys to be as critical as you want to, and two, for me to learn more about the smaller school guys that you might know more about than I do. So go ahead. Again, you see someone on the board that was there that I didn't see or didn't know anything about or didn't even mention, some of the players that were up there when the pick came around that maybe you know more about. Go ahead, shout them out and tell me some of the strengths about them. That's something that can help me learn too. So I appreciate that from you guys. So honestly, the first 4 picks for me, the first 4 picks are ideal for what I'm looking for the Chiefs to do. Now, they're going to do some different things. I would like them to trade down a little bit, but I like some of these guys too down here. I really like Farrell. I like Powell. I don't know anything about the safety out of Virginia Tech, but I do know that Bobby Brown's a pretty good interior defender in terms of stopping the run. So you got some upside here. You have a really good dynamic playmaker on the outside. Wide receiver can play all those positions, and you got 2 guys that can come in and protect Patrick Mahomes. So I like this. Again, you don't. You go ahead and you tell me what was wrong about it. You liked it. Go ahead and say what you loved about it. This is going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. We're going to keep doing this as draft season comes along. So again, I hope you enjoyed it and have a great day.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.